All right, what is credit economy? For those who are not economists like myself, but who pay attention to what the economic situation can bring us, we're yet to be educated this morning. Let me say we're about to be educated this morning on how this is in fact affecting Nigeria's economy and how indeed we can navigate through it to get out of the troubled waters. This morning, we're being joined by a financial expert, Bamidele Ayemibo, who is actually an international trade finance expert. Bamidele, we thank you indeed for joining us on News Hub today.
Good morning. How are you today?
Very good. For the benefit of those who are not economists like you, and that's the benefit of those who really want to learn what this would mean, what do economists refer to as credit economy, and how does this really, happen in Nigeria? How does it affect the nation?
Okay, so if you look at the calculation for GDP, there are a number of components that are added together, and that include government spending, that include investment, that include consumption, that include export minus import. So it is the consumption component now that we're talking about, because that consumption component it can be driven in a lot of economy, developed economy, European, American economy is largely driven by consumer credit. So in this case, we are looking at credit given to individuals to buy different things. You know, I remember as a banker, I just rented a house and I wanted to get a TV and get a sound system and get a fridge. And all I need to do is to give post-dated checks to LG at that time. And I pick up those things. And then they present the check every month. In Nigeria today, it could be that you give me, what's the name? The bank make fund available. Fintech are doing this actually to be individuals who can take personal loan to do different things, to buy different things for cars, for different things, as long as it's been taken by individuals to be able to buy whatever they need for themselves. That's consumer credit. And that drives the economy actually, because the more people spend, the more businesses run and grow, because the reason the business is growing because people have money to spend. So even if the people don't have the cash to spend, there is credit for them to be able to spend and then pay at a later date. So that's why in those economies, people don't just buy a house, buy a car, but as in pay cash down. It's very, in fact, if you pay cash down, they'll be suspicious. It's only we from Nigeria and Africa that will come and pay cash down. They'll be wondering, see these guys, where are they getting this money from? They don't pay cash down, they pay over a period. And that makes it a lot easier actually for them to pay. But more importantly is that it stimulates the economy, because it makes businesses who are producing and manufacturing to be able to keep producing, hire people, and of course they also render some services, because by producing they are paying salaries, by producing they are buying from suppliers, by producing they are also getting paid for services of a number of people that are involved in their supply chain.
So let's talk about how this really affects the Nigerian economy. For instance, the consumer credit, scheme in the country. What do we have that's really affecting us that maybe some people who are not in the formal sector like you may not be paying attention to, but which is in one way or the other affecting how they conduct their businesses?
For individuals, it's actually better for individuals and businesses to leverage on credit. Because, sometimes you want to buy some things, you need some fund to be able to do some things immediately, but some things you want to buy that you will take a lot of money from you, but you can pay little by little. In fact, some airline does this, pay small. What it does basically for you as an individual is that it enhances being able to afford things that you probably will not be able to buy at once. It builds your credit history as an individual. It builds your credit history. It helps you to address financial emergencies. Consumer credit can serve as a crucial lifeline during unexpected financial crisis. That's why they have credit cards. A bank used to have credit, use credit. Some banks still have it because I work with, I have two banks that I have credit card with, and the credit card enables me to be able to use it to do whatever it is I need to do for immediate, and I can pay back. In fact, the beauty of it is that if you know how to use it very well, for many of the banks, they will debit you 29th of every month, but anything you spend from the 16th, 17th of this month, they won't debit you on the 29th of next month. What that means is that you can actually take loan from the bank, not pay a dime, you just pay back exactly what they have given you. But if you exceed 29th of next month, they will charge you, you now begin to pay interest. But if you pay back before 29th of next month, because you take it, so if you take it early this month, maybe beginning of the month, and you pay back before the end of the month, you won't pay interest on it. If you take it 16, 17 of the month, and you pay back before 29th of next month, you won't pay on it. So at the end of the day, you can actually, if you know how to use it very well, you can actually get credit and pay back and will not. Now, what does the bank enjoy from that? For you to be able to pay back, you must have money with the bank. So the bank enjoy the float from you, because by making your fund available to the bank is able to lend with your money and make money from it. So it makes you to keep money in your account, because bank is going to debit you to be able to pay, and bank make money from your money, and that's how the bank make money. Enjoy that. But if you now don't pay at that time, you can pay later, but you not pay interest on it.
Very interesting. And let's take anybody who lives outside the country, especially in the Western world, can relate to what you're saying now, because they have the credit cards. But what we have here mainly are debit cards. So you can only spend as much as you have in your bank account. Once that is gone, you get to start to experience some minuses in your accounts. Why do you think the Nigerian banks and some other service providers or goods, suppliers don't key into the credit scheme?
No, banks are actually doing it. The real challenge actually is that they are not doing it for everybody. I told you that I have two banks actually. Some banks are doing it now, but the bank, okay, I used to work one of the banks, which is now has merged with another bank. And I remember then they were doing this, and at some point they had a lot of default.
Okay.
The government did not provide a safety net, and I think that's what the government is doing differently right now. The government did not provide a safety net that make it easier for banks to want to do it, because if the bank know that, look, if you default, there is a cover for me, then it becomes easier for them to want to do it. So the fact that we don't have that safety net from bank is why the bank cannot do it for everybody. But what the government is trying to do right now is to provide that safety net, something like a credit-linked insurance framework that will help to be able to ensure that if someone is using a credit card and he took credit and he lost his job, the lender does not take the hit, but the lender is able to have a recourse by way of the safety net provided by the government, because it helps the government to be able to stimulate the economy. So at the end of the day, the government also provides safety net to be able to help, but it affects that person's credit history. But government provides a safety net to ensure that the lender does not become dealing with bad loan because of the credit that went bad.
All right, so easily, anyone would want to imagine that because of bad loans. We hear some banks right now have even closed the window to some certain, demographics within the country that, look, between this age and this, they're not paying. There's some people who are into this kind of business will never even service their loans and all of that. That's one issue. Is it all about defaulters who don't pay back their loans, or are there other issues why you think that Nigerians don't get to enjoy these credit facilities?
No, some people don't want loan. Some people
don't like it.
They don't want loan at all. They don't want anything to do with loan. And it's not really, if you are running a business and your business is going to grow, you cannot do without loan. There are good debt, there are bad debt. So, for example, you need to pay your child's school fees. Now, you will be paid back at the end of the month. You know the salary is coming, but you need to pay the school fees today, and you don't want your children to be out of school. That is where it becomes useful. So it's important people are educated on how it becomes useful. But it's useful when you are not using it to be able to just to waste it. Waste it in the sense that you are just using it to be able to fund lifestyle, not to be able to meet critical needs. So I know that by the end of the month, I'm going to be getting salary, and from my salary, I can pay back this money. But because I have an urgent need now to pay my child's school fees, I can easily pay that school fees, and then I pay back at the end of the month. And like I said, you might not even pay interest if you pay back on time. Those are the benefits. So selling it to people to be able to embrace credit culture. In fact, there's a report by Nairametrics that was saying that household consumption of GDP in India is about 43%. In South Africa, about 36%. In Nigeria, it's about 6%. 6%. Meaning we have not embraced that culture. We have not embraced that culture. And the reason is simple. The reason is because, number one, the bank have concerns. Number two, about the bank have concerns, a number of people don't even know that this exists and that this is possible, which is where the bank have to market it. But number three is the fact that people need to embrace credit culture. The fact that you can, and because it helps you to be able to get a lot of things done easily if you embrace that culture, but you should embrace the culture with the intent of paying back, because sincerely, some people take a loan without the plan to pay back. And that's why the bank is, which is where credit scoring system come in, to be able to ensure that credit scoring is done for the individual and they are able to get it if they are eligible for it.
Well, I mean, very well said, very clear enough for anyone who would listen to you this morning. But some other people are adducing some very, very salient points to why perhaps Nigerians don't like to take loans, despite the fact that reports for the 2025 says that about $2.1 billion, that's how big the loan market size is in the country, which means that investors, let me say manufacturers, all those who may need loans can easily access these loans. But some of them are very reluctant because of some uncertainties that could be brought about due to government policies. Do you think this is one big issue as well?
No, I don't think so. I think it's knowledge and education. I think it's knowledge, because many of the people are not even aware of some of these policies you're talking about. Actually, it's knowledge and education. I'm sure bank will promote and push it for people to know more if they have a safety net. Because bank want to lend. I mean, why will you collect money? You are paying interest on deposit for people. You want to lend. I'm sure many banks want to lend. The concern for many banks is, look, if I'm lending, I need to be sure that money will come back. So securitization of the fund and being able to sell it in a secondary market if I don't want that exposure again should be something the government should work on, which is what I believe is being worked on right now. If the government is able to make that happen, and then the bank know that, okay, look, if I give this loan out, I have a recourse, and then people now know. Now, if people know that, look, if you take it and you don't pay, then you won't be able to get it again. And you have a friend who is paying back and is able to get it every time. It will also help people to want to build up their credit history, which is where building up this credit history becomes necessary. Because if people now see the benefit and they can see people enjoying the benefit, people will want to do it. Because some people can even take it and invest it and use their salary to pay back. But they can invest today and use their salary to pay back tomorrow. So there's so many things you can do with it. I think it's more of education and support from the government rather than the fact that rather than government policy.
You know, I'm looking at the latest rates shown out by the MPC for the month of May, and I'm also I'm looking at the possibility that possibilities of those that you feel are not as knowledgeable to be able to know what they can do with the credit facilities, not really fulfilling all that they could. Now, take a look. I'm sure you know that at this point in time, the rates, the MPR is at 27.50%. Some others will say, look, the lending rate is also very high in the country. So many Nigerians are saying that it's not about that, the fact that we don't understand government policies. We do, because the MPC would always come out to give us latest rates as they would work with banks. But these rates are not favorable based on the economic situations that we're faced with as a nation. Power supply, so many other issues, they will trump up there. But is there any way, aside banks really letting people know the opportunities that they can get from accessing loans, all these credit facilities, better put, that they're there, and why the people would want to go ahead and take this if they think it will be a kind of a burden on them due to some uncertainties they say could be brought about by whatever changes that could come with government policies? I want to go back to the question.
No, the NPR is correct. The fact that it's high is a challenge. But even when it was low, people were not taking it. So it wasn't because it's high now. Before now, I've been using credit card, since 2012. So that's more than 10 years. And I do that with 2 banks. But at that time, the interest rate was low. And some people were able to use it. Some are not able to use it. Now, I think maybe another thing we can say is some bank will tell you, which I think might be a discouragement for some people, for them to give you a credit card, you must provide a security. So at the end of the day, it's not more making sense that, look, if I have the money, why should I need a credit card? The reason I need a credit card is because I don't have the money now, so I can pay it in future. But if I have to give you, so for example, I need a credit card for 1 million naira, I give the bank 1 million. So I'll be able to use it. So people are asking, so why do I need it? So I think that might be another discouragement. But in terms of NPR, when NPR was low, some banks have always done credit card, but a number of people have not embraced that culture. And like I said, it might also be because of this, because some banks will ask you, you need to secure it. But some banks, they check your credit history, they feel you are credit worthy, they give it to you and just limit their exposure to you. And if you perform, some banks will even increase the amount they are giving to you.
Yeah, a lot of people, I'm sure, are being educated concerning this at this point in time, because when we were discussing this topic, people are like, okay, people quickly embrace a credit facility and bold because they would not be able to pay. And just as you said, of course, we hear some banks are still dealing with bad debts, and it's really weighing them down as we speak. Moving forward, if we take a look at how things are working in Nigeria's economy, what other areas do you think the consumers, or let me say Nigerians generally, can look towards so that it can boost their credit rating with their banks or even with people that they do business with? What should they be doing today?
If you borrow, you must commit to paying back. It's so important. In fact, in developed world, people will do everything possible to pay back. It's in Nigeria, some people will say, some people in Nigeria borrow without the intention of paying back. And it's so sad. And the only reason they could do that is because there's no punitive measures that keep them in check on the consequences of borrowing without paying back. If there is a punitive measure with consequences and the people are aware of these consequences, I'm sure they won't do what they are doing. So I think one of the biggest challenges we have is the fact that there are no punitive measures that make people to be able to ensure that they pay back whenever they borrow. So, but if you're going to build a credit history, now in Nigeria today we have credit bureau, you need to build. In fact, some people today, to give, even individuals, they will check, they will ask for your credit score, because you can actually get credit score in Nigeria today. It's not something that, we're not there yet. They are doing a lot of that for corporate. I'm not sure of how much of that is being done for individuals, but building your credit history is so important, because the bank is looking at credibility and character and cash flow. The bank is looking at your cash flow. Are you earning money coming in regularly? Which is why if you're a small business, ensure the money go into your account. Even if you are going to use the money later, let it enter your account first and then use it. So you need to use the money today. The money enters the account and you withdraw it immediately. It's better, because then the bank can see the history in your account. Your cash flow can easily be seen. Then you are demonstrating character, the fact that you are able to pay a certain when due. The biggest challenge for bank is character. I do training for banks, and there are some situations the bank will say, look, they will lend more for character than even cash flow. That if someone doesn't have cash flow but he has character, the chance that he will pay when he gets money is high than someone that has cash flow does not have character. That are such that even if he has the money, he refuses to pay. Some people will tell you that is their part of their own national cake. Can you imagine that?
Well, it's unimaginable, because if you want to borrow, you should be willing to pay, be ready to pay. I read a piece in Nairametrics some time ago. I'm trying to check it now. I think it was about 2-3 days ago, or some very late in the month of May last month. And it was talking about the fact that the consumer credit scheme under President Bola Tinubu is quietly unfolding. And that brought the question up, how? If what we see now are being determined by banks and some other formal, let me say the formal sector to decide, then what is the federal government's issue in this? In what ways would this really affect the credit scheme in the country? And what are your expectations of the president's policies even moving forward?
Now, the government created in 2024 what is called credit corps, the Nigeria Consumer Credit Corporation, actually. And the mandate basically is to create and extend credit to workers and small businesses. And according to that report that you said, about 3.5 billion have been disbursed. Now, it's small compared to what we should be doing, but is a step in the right direction. And the idea is basically, because, I mean, workers can easily pay back because they have a source of paying back. The only thing is that you extend to them a percentage of their salary, and then it becomes easier for them to pay back. And that's what the government is trying to do, which is very good. Now, there is another big announcement that was made, the launch of the National Credit Guarantee Company. Now, this credit guarantee company is set to start up with 100 billion initial capital. Now, the idea here is this: to help lenders to feel safe when they are giving loan. You know, like I said, these are the initiatives we have abroad that make it easier for people to want to be able to give this money out. And giving this money out means people can have enough money to spend. Having enough money to spend means the economy can begin to grow because businesses are going to be able to have people to buy their product. If people don't have money to buy, what that means is that particularly, in fact, this is necessary in Nigeria today because the disposable income level has reduced, the purchasing power has reduced, eroded largely by the inflation. If people are not able to buy and the government is planning to grow the economy, government spending alone cannot grow the economy. Investment from abroad alone cannot grow the economy. A lot, because we have a huge population in Nigeria, a lot can be done if we can stimulate spending by the population. And that's what I think the government is trying to do by some of these initiatives coming up.
Thank you indeed. We will speak
and encourage consumption by the populace.
Thank you indeed. It's always a pleasure to listen to you, Bamidele Ayimibo, an international trade finance expert. We've been talking about issues around Nigeria's credit facility, especially the schemes that many of us didn't know about. For instance, this morning, re-echoing what has been happening within the government circle and what Nigerians could key into. Many people didn't know about it, just as you said. And so maybe not only the banks need to get the customers to know what they have in terms of services, but also the federal government needs to talk more about what Nigerians can really benefit under this scheme. Thank you indeed, Bamidele, for being part of News Hub today.
Thank you for having me, and bye-bye.
Bye.